In this film, we're going to talk about what it means to be a guarantor. People often agree to act as a guarantor to enable a relative or a friend to rent a home. If you're thinking of doing this, that's very kind. And it could be that you sign up as a guarantor and then never hear from the landlord again. But sometimes, however, things do go wrong, and the person you're helping may not be able to pay their rent or meet another tenancy obligation. In this case, guarantors are sometimes surprised to find that a landlord can ask them to pay, and even take court action against them if they don't. It's important to know that being a guarantor is a big responsibility, and there are real risks attached. So you need to think about the person asking you to be their guarantor and their co-tenants. Can you rely on them? So, what is a guarantor responsible for? Your legal responsibility will depend on the exact wording of the guarantee. This might be written out in a separate agreement or included in the tenancy agreement itself. Here's some things to look out for. Read the guarantee carefully to make sure you understand exactly what you're signing up to. If there's very little information about what you are responsible for, you should ask the landlord or their agent to provide you with more information. If you're guaranteeing more than just the rent payment, you need to read the tenancy agreement as well. And if there's anything in either document that you don't understand, you should get independent legal advice. You can find out places to get legal advice at the end of this video. The main thing is you're potentially responsible for any rent they can't pay, the cost of putting right any damage, and any other costs covered in the tenancy agreement. And crucially, if the tenant you're guaranteeing is sharing the tenancy, you could be responsible for any damage or unpaid rent caused by the other tenants, not just the one you're wanting to help. So when do you start being legally responsible? The guarantee agreement should identify the point where your legal responsibility starts. If the other tenants also have guarantors, make sure the guarantee makes it clear that you'll only become responsible when all the co-guarantors have signed up. Otherwise, if you're the first to sign up and the others don't, you could be responsible for everything, all on your own. Be aware though that even if there are other guarantors, you may not be completely covered. A landlord doesn't have to take action against all guarantors, but can choose to pursue just the one that's most likely to pay up. So even if there are other guarantors, you may find yourself liable for the full amount of any debt. When does your legal responsibility end? Again, this should be written in the guarantee. You may, for example, be responsible for however long the tenancy lasts, including any rent increases. So for example, if the tenant fails to pay the last month's rent, you're responsible for that. And for 6 years after they break the agreement, court proceedings could be taken against you if you don't cover it. Some other things worth knowing. Unless the guarantee provisions say otherwise, you carry on being liable even if you fall ill or lose your job. If the tenant is declared bankrupt, the extent of your liability will depend on the wording in the guarantee. If you are declared bankrupt, then the landlord may be a creditor in the bankruptcy for anything you owe. And if you die, they might be able to claim against your estate. So can you ask for changes to the guarantee? If something in the guarantee seems unfair to you, you or the tenant could ask the landlord to agree to a change before you sign it. For example, you may want to include a set period of time within which the guarantee is enforced for. Or you might want to say that you're only liable for any debt owed divided by the number of tenants. So you're only responsible for a proportion of any debt. However, many landlords aren't willing to limit a guarantor's liability, so they may not agree, but it's probably worth asking. And that's it. Obviously, a lot of what we've talked about has been quite negative. Of course, it's entirely possible that you won't have any problems at all, but like any legal agreement, it's always worth thinking things through carefully. Thanks, and good luck. You may have free advice as part of your home or car insurance, or as part of trade union membership. You could also go to your local advice centre or law centre. See Advice Now's help directory for more information about where to go for legal advice.